Hi everyone, welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. I am Bonnie Krebs, creator of Watercolor the Art Impressions Way, and this week we are going to do a little fall scene. So we're going to place this little country church into this little scene, and you can see I'm using fall colors here. You could easily change this by brightening this green up, so that would give you a really fun summer image. Use a different tree in the background, of course, but you can easily change this out. So let's get going on this super fun little project. And we're going to start out by using the little church. So we're going to use this one right here. We are also going to use this little shrub right here from the harvest set. From the branches set, we're going to use this little one right here. And then in the foliage set, the little grass right here. So we don't need a lot to put this little composition together. And actually you could probably create the majority of this just with maybe 2 or 3 stamps. So you don't have to use a lot. And I get that a lot. You know, why does it take so many stamps to create these little scenes? And why does it cost so much money? And honestly, you can do them really simple. I try to keep that in mind when I come up with these little compositions. Use what you have. And remember, this is just an idea on placement and how to do the composition, but a lot of these things you can switch out and use what you have. Okay, so let's get going. We're going to start out by stamping that basic image. So that is the little church, and we're going to ink that in the sepia. So I'm going to ink this all up with my sepia, so number 45. And I'm going to take off some of this color. So along the bottom, because I want to put this in a little, shrubs and foliage. So I'm going to take some of this off here. And then I'm just going to stamp it off on a scrap of paper. So just like that, I want it to be pretty light in the background. And then I'm just going to stamp it right into the middle of my watercolor paper. So just like that. So it's very light and really a simple image. Okay, so I'm going to dip my brush in water now and pinch it off and begin by pulling the color out of the lines. So it's going to be really, really light. We've taken a lot of this color off, and so we're going to just see a really light image. But when you're looking out into the background, you're not going to see definite harsh lines. So this little church is kind of, set back, and so we just want it to be very subtle. Okay, and I'm dragging a little bit of this color over onto the roof and onto the door here. You can see it just doesn't take a lot. Remember to show that highlight on the top, of your little structure to make sure that you don't add color all the way up to that line. Okay, so that looks good. So I'm going to take my sepia now, so the fine tip, I'm going to add some detail now into the windows. So just do this with your fine tip. You can, create whatever detail you want. I'm just sort of making 3 little window panes here, so just like this. Leave a little white border around the window, so don't bring this all the way over to the line. I hope that makes sense. So you want to see a little border around each little window pane. So just like that. And then we can bring it over here. And you don't have to be careful about this. I think it's better if these little window panes aren't all exactly alike. So we're just creating the idea that there's little window panes in here. Super cute. And then in here, we can do maybe some really small little details. So actually that's just pretty much 4 little dots. So anywhere you think, you would have a little dark area, go ahead and do that with your pen. And you can see that really pops that image out. So I'm going to take my brush and just add a little bit of water now to these little window panes. Just kind of blends it up. And I'm going to drag some of this color over because this little church is in the background, it's in the shadows, and so it's not going to be pure white, even though it's a little white church. It's not going to be pure white. Okay, so I'm going to add some color now to my palette. I'm going to use the number 15 green, and I'm going to use that olive brown. So this is that yellowish, kind of a yellowish green, more like a fall color. And I'm going to mix the two of these together. And I'm going to put some of this color now onto the roof. Make sure you don't go clear to the top. I want to see that highlight on there. And just brush this on. You can do it on this side as well. And let's just put a little of this color now onto the door. Just brush it on. Okay, that looks pretty good. We are ready to go on to the next step, and that's to add some color now into the background. So I'm going to use the number 7 orange. It's a really, really bright orange. Put some on my palette. And I'm going to just brush in a little orange cloud. That's the best way to describe it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this color in and around. So don't touch the sepia, don't touch the lines of the little church. We don't want that sepia to bleed out into this background color. So just water that down really well and just put some of this color around the church. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to go ahead and brush in my water. So there's a little pond in the front. So this is number 29. And let me show you. So you can see it's just a few little lines across the front. So we've placed our background in now, the orange, and now we're going to do the blue in the front. So I'm going to add some water to this now and just blend this out. And just straight lines, keep your hands straight and just make straight lines across the front. Just like that. Adding water is so easy. It's really fun, but it can be a little intimidating. You know, when you look at this water and you think, oh man, I don't know if I can do that. Trust me, you can. Super easy. Keep your hands straight and just straight lines across the bottom, and you've got it. Okay, so let's go on to the next step. And you can see I wasn't really careful about where I put this orange. Just get this green cloud in here. Honestly, it really doesn't matter. So now we're going to take this little brush. So this little brushy foliage, and I'm going to add some orange to it. So I'm going to ink it up with the orange. And I'm just going to start by adding some color in here. So just like this. Stamp it in here a couple of times. And maybe I'll just get it in here one more time. And I'm going to change out the color now and add some red. And because I'm going from orange to red, I don't have to clean my stamp off. And maybe I'll put some back in here. And I am going to clean it off now, just because I'm going to go from this bright red now to back to that olive green color. So I want to make sure that this is all cleaned off. And I'm going to add some of this green in here now, and maybe back in the background. And a little bit back here. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to start by adding my water now to this. And I'll start with the green in the background. And just kind of blend this all out. And I'll get this green over here. Just soften this all up. It's okay to mix these colors up a little bit too. So don't worry about, you know, if you get some of this green into the orange or the red, that's okay. And then let's go to the orange. This just blends out. Just keep dipping your brush, pinching it off. And you can just, you know, extend this color clear out. So you've got a lot of color on your brush, so you can just kind of extend it out so it looks really soft. And just dab. So we're just dabbing. We're not, you know, we're really not painting. We're just dabbing at what we've just stamped. And you can see it just kind of all comes together. It kind of looks like a mess when you first get it all stamped up, but you know, when you start adding the water to it, it really, really changes everything. You can always add a little more color, you know, back in here. You know, if you want to add a little more foliage back in here, you can. You could, you know, add a little bit of green down in here. And let's take some of this now and kind of put a little color into this little pathway. And I can just soften this out a little more. Almost gives it a dreamlike look when you just keep pulling this color out. Just keep dragging it out. And then sky is the same as the water, so same color, just water that down really well so that you have it that really, really watered down light color, and just brush that in background. So easy. And so far we've only used 2 stamps. That's the best part. It doesn't take a lot. And you know, you can do these simple little paintings. They don't have to be super elaborate. You can do them in just a few minutes. So let's take a little of this color now. So maybe some of this orange, and let's just put a little bit of this on the church. Just a little bit in here. Okay, so now I'm going to add some grasses in the front, and I'm going to use that olive brown again. So this is 27, and I'm going to use this tiny, tiny little grass. And I'm just going to kind of walk my way over. So you can go left to right or right to left because you're walking that grass. So remember, you're not just stamping it one time and then again, you're walking it over. So we get that dark to light impression. Okay, and then dip my brush again and just pull that color. It's gonna pull up and out. Just pull that color up. Take your time. So fun. And remember, it's just the idea of things, so you don't have to pull this grass all the way around this little pond. It's just the idea of it. And if you want to, you can add a few more little lines in here. And let's put just a little more color into the sky. Like so. Okay, so let's add some detail in here, and we're going to do that with this little branch. I'm going to ink this up, and you can use, you know, whatever parts of it you want. You don't necessarily have to use the whole thing. And we can just get this little dried branch in here. Makes it look more like fall. Like so. And let's go ahead and put a tree into the background. Just a little tree without any leaves on it, just so that it looks like the leaves have come off the branches. So a little bare tree. Let's go ahead and stamp that in here. And I'm gonna stamp it behind all of this foliage. So I don't really need all of this trunk area. So I'm just gonna kind of ink the top, and I'm gonna use my positioner. Make sure that I get it into the right place. And I think that looks pretty good right there. And just stamp it lightly into the background. That looks good. You can put another one over here if you want to. You can do whatever you want. And I think we are about finished. Just look at it now and see if there's any details that you're missing, anywhere that you want to add a little darker color, in case anything gets washed out. but this looks pretty good to me. Don't be afraid to, you know, so one thing left to do, and that is to sign and date. And put it in a frame or put it on a card and give it away to someone. You are going to make their day. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you all next week.